Hello and welcome to the Busy Bays podcast, where we provide valuable insight and advice on the marketing and other business type questions that auto repair shops encounter as they work towards achieving their goals. Now here's our hosts, Martin Morgan and Becca Weinbein. Today we are talking about what I like to call the Big Kahuna, SEO. And we have some questions and want to walk through the answers with you. So we're going to jump right in, Martin. What is the beginner's definition of SEO?
So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and in plain language, it's the things that you can do to and for your website to make sure it shows up in a good position in the search results, most often Google search results.
Okay, so does SEO or search engine optimization happen to work just overnight, like with a click of a finger?
In most cases, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a fairly substantial amount of time, most often something like 3 to 6 months. It depends on a lot of factors. So there are a lot of factors that come into play. The age of a domain could come into play. So if you've had your website for a significant amount of time and then you start putting forth some SEO activities, that can help it move much more quickly than, let's say, if you just created a website yesterday and you're trying to help it search through SEO activities.
So it needs to have a little bit of love.
Absolutely, yep.
And it kind of sounds like a technical term to me, but how would somebody have what we would call great SEO?
The key, for the most part, to great SEO, think of it A, B, C. So A stands for architecture. That's how the website is built and more behind the scenes technical type stuff. The B stands for backlinks. So just think links, but if it helps you, A, B, C. B is backlinks, and those are what links exist out in the internet that go back to your website because Google likes to find those. That gives it credibility. And then the C is content. So your content plays a big role in how Google shows your site within the search results because it likes to see content that matches what the user is searching for.
And when you say content, like, I understand that blogs are very helpful within there, or any type of updated coupons that a shop might put on.
Yes, content can represent, think deep content, okay. So it doesn't want just a couple of sentences. Let's say if somebody's looking for auto repair, Google looks at your content to see if you're an expert in auto repair. So if you have a whole bunch of content that all goes back to auto repair, or if the Google algorithms are like through machine learning or AI type stuff that they've got set up, it all falls under the category of auto repair. It's going to see that. And then of course you think about topical content. So how does it relate to the stuff that people are searching for, that you want to be found for? And then for something like auto repair, certainly local search is critically important, right? So it doesn't matter to you if you're a shop in Milwaukee, if somebody in Los Angeles can find your shop when they search for auto repair. You want the people in your area that are your potential customers to find you. So you also want content that speaks to the local nature, the locality, the community.
The geography, yeah. Okay.
The geography,
essentially. Yep. Is SEO something that the average business owner can do on their own?
It depends. So there's various levels of SEO, and it depends on how much has been done, where you are now, and what needs to be done. So things like your Google My Business profile, which we've talked about endlessly.
100, yes.
Seemingly, also plays a big role in SEO. So your Google My Business profile and your website are like the 1-2 punch for your web presence online, really. So you can do some activities on Google My Business that are going to help your website search well.
Boost it, essentially.
It can
right?
boost your search results. There are other things that you can do, like continuously writing content. You mentioned a blog. So if you're posting regular content through some sort of blog type thing that goes right into your website and you're building more pages, more depth, that can help you. So it would depend on how much time you want to put into a blog. And then there's also, as I mentioned, links are also important. So if you're going to spend the time perhaps to reach out and get links, and not all links are credited at the same level, then that's going to play a role as well. So what you want to make sure you do is set up your goals and focus on the things that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. So you could spend half an hour a day, you could spend half the day working on it, and you might get more out of the half hour that you spent that you would get in your half day. But it takes time and it takes consistent effort.
So a lot of meat and potatoes is what I'm going to reference it as.
Yeah.
But you said links. So even earlier we talked about backlinks. Can you help me out a little bit with that?
Right. So great links can be various different things. We talked about being related to the specific topic matter. So auto repair, or let's say you really like transmission repair, or you focus on fleet or diesel, those things. Links to websites or links from websites that Google values as experts in those areas help you. Or let's say you're part of a program, whether that's like an auto value, bumper to bumper, maybe you're part of the AC Delco program, or Auto Plus, or Parts Plus, Federated, lots of good programs out there. Having the links from their program site, their main branded site, to your shop is also going to help you, because as you might expect, more people are looking for those bigger brands, and when that link goes back to your shop, that's going to help you as well. The other part that we talked about when we were talking about content, and it's really both of those things, it's expertise, credibility, quality, and then the local nature of things. So also very valuable are those local links. So if somebody, again, let's use our fictional shop in Milwaukee as an example. If you have a shop in Milwaukee and you have a link from the Milwaukee Chamber of Commerce that goes to your website, that's going to be a good local link to have. If you have links from other local nonprofits, sports teams, that type of thing, that's also going to help you from a local standpoint. So again, we're in the area where you've got two factors. You've got kind of the industry, the credibility, the quality, and also the local nature of it as well.
What about the amount of times a person clicks on the website in the search results? Does that help boost the SEO?
It does help boost the SEO. So one of the things that I mentioned there's a lot of factors, and usually we take most of our information from two big surveys that happen within the SEO industry, especially for local SEO, and they kind of rank what they think the most important factors are. And usually somewhere in the top 20 of those factors is the amount of clicks that the website gets through the search engine results page. So what does that mean exactly? Let's say somebody searches for transmission repair Orlando. They get a first page. You've got lots of stuff on there, but in the organic search results, you've got a shop that let's say is fourth in that list, and somebody clicks on it. When somebody clicks on that, that tells Google that is the result that person wants to get. That is a good result for that click, right? Or for that search engine results page. Let's say that continues to happen and people continue to click on the fourth result as they search for transmission repair in Orlando. That website is going to move up in the results. So they may start showing it third. If it continues to get clicked on, they may start showing it second. If it continues to get clicked on, it may start showing it first. So those clicks is like a direct hit for Google to say that's what people are looking for.
Because they want to make it easy for everybody anyway, so that they go on Google.
That is exactly right. And what the way that the search is set up as Google presents it, and it is true for the most part, is they want to give the results that are going to matter the most to the users. So when they see users specifically clicking on something, that is direct feedback to them that that's what they're looking for when they're searching for whatever the keyword or whatever it is they type
transmission, whatever. Yep. Yeah. Then you mentioned organic. So I hear a lot about like organic search results or paid. What's the difference here?
Difference For the most part, there's several places within the search engine results page and pages where those paid search results come up. Most often you're going to see them at the very top because Google can charge a lot of money. And you may be a shop who does pay-per-click advertising through Google, and you know how much those top results can be. So you're likely to see some paid results up at the top, and then toward the bottom as well is where they have paid results, and then that kind of repeats itself page after page. Now, through mobile, that can be a little bit different. Sometimes there's still those pay-per-click at the top. Sometimes they're not there at the bottom, and then you click to see more results type of a thing. But that is where the pay-per-click or search engine marketing, SEM versus SEO, Google Ads, it's referred to by a lot of different things. That's where those things are. Organic results, in most cases, and especially with most things to do with auto repair, you're going to see paid results at the top. You're probably going to see a map. And then you're going to have what's called the local pack under there, which is going to be like 3, or if there's an ad, 4 results underneath that map. And then organic results show up underneath there. So on the average searches, or let's say not the average searches, but when it comes to local search results for services like auto repair, more than 50% of the clicks happen in that organic search results area. So more than 50% of people, they go down to those organic search results, and then they find the one that's going to match up best for them, or they might go to the next page or the next page, depending on what they're looking for. But those are the organic results versus paid.
Can a shop see where they're searching at organically, like on their own easily?
For the most part, the answer is yes. What you need to know as you look at those things, though, is Google tries to make every search personalized to the searcher. So Google is going to factor in your previous history. It's going to factor in your location. It's going to factor in what you've done. So if you have a history of clicking on a certain website for a question, let's use something not related to auto repair. Let's say you often look for pizza delivery, right? And you often click on Papa John's, let's say. And so you search for pizza delivery, you've clicked on Papa John's a lot. Google's going to show you the Papa John's website higher than it would typically for a random person who hadn't clicked on that a lot. That's one of the things to factor in. So when you're looking at your shop, and if you go to your shop's website a lot, and you don't do an incognito search, and you search for auto repair, and especially if you're in your shop, because proximity is right there.
Location.
Your location is going to influence it. Your history is going to influence it. And so it's going to look to you like your shop is searching really well, when in reality, if Tommy Smith down the road searches for auto repair, your shop could be on the second page. Techniques that you can use, like we talked about, you can use incognito search as an option, which is on Chrome. I think the other browsers have something that's called something like that as well. Mm-hmm. But what that does is it factors out your previous history, or you ask somebody else that you know, maybe down the road, and see what they find as they're searching. So a good thing to do is ask multiple people or get results from multiple places, kind of near where your shop is, or test somewhere else. To get an accurate feel for how your shop's website is really searching versus just that one data point that's going to be really biased to everything you've done previously.
People are going to be looking up on their computer, maybe on their phone, but what about being mobile friendly? Like what does that mean, and how can that affect somebody's SEO?
Mobile friendly is very important. I think it was either 12 to 18 months ago where Google said, from this point forward, we are factoring mobile friendliness into how we show websites in the search results, regardless of whether the search is on a mobile device or a desktop. So it factored it in that even in desktop searches, your website's mobile friendliness is a factor in where your site is going to show on those search engine results pages. And there definitely is a difference. It's a big factor when it comes to mobile. You want to absolutely make sure that your site is mobile friendly. You want to leave no doubts about whether it is or not. More and more searches are happening, certainly on smartphones especially, and you don't want to take the chance that it's not going to show up when somebody's searching on a smartphone.
When people are searching on a smartphone, if they're actually typing in the legitimate domain, like www.autorepair.dallas.com, what about if a domain has hyphens, like auto-repair-dallas? Does that reflect anything with how they're going to be searching?
And this is a really interesting question because we've heard this from a few shops recently, and it doesn't really affect it. So Google reads hyphens as word breaks. So if it says auto-repair, auto-repair-Raleigh, which is where we are, Raleigh, North Carolina, it reads that as 3 separate words, auto repair and Raleigh.
Like a space.
Great. Yeah,
okay. Just
like it was a space. So that was very common, and you'll see that a lot on WordPress. So even our Repair Shop website, if you go to our blog, our blogs are all the URLs are all broken up with the words with hyphens or dashes in between there. So it doesn't really affect it at all. The difference is now is that Google's so good at being able to detect those things. It also doesn't matter if you have 0 hyphens in your URL, unless it's words that Google can't detect because it just can't, let's say. You should be totally fine. So similarly, if you just have auto repair Raleigh with no hyphens or dashes, then it also will almost definitely read that as auto repair Raleigh. So either way is totally fine. Yeah, there's a lot less worry about that. In the past, it used to be that Google couldn't detect those things, and people would use underscore, and it would cause problems because Google didn't read underscores as word breaks or dashes, so it would just like glob the whole thing together. So dashes were the way things were to start, and they did work well, and the underscores were not so good.
We're garbage.
Yes, yeah.
So is it true that Google has essentially bots that crawl and can flag anything if there's an issue?
That's exactly right. So that's what happens, and that's one of the things. So when I mentioned the ABC, where A is architecture, in the shortest possible version of what that means, it's making sure that your website is easily crawlable by the Google bots. So depending on how often you're posting new content, Google bots come and they crawl your website, and that's how they index it, and then they know to show your site on the search engine results page. So one of the things we talked about was content. Another key piece of content is updating it. So as you update content, the bots are going to come to your site more often. So the bots crawl, they see, okay, we've got this content. Let's say, this just making this up. Let's say they come out to crawl your site 2 weeks later and they say new content. So okay, we've got new content here. So again, it comes 2 weeks later, new content. Oh, we got new. So it's going to keep hitting it.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Let's say it goes out and it crawls, it's got it, comes back 2 weeks later, no new content. It might delay a little longer. Maybe let's say 4 weeks later, comes back, no new content. The bots are really smart, so what they're going to do is they're going to stop coming to your website, or they're going to increase that interval more and more, which means that you could be at a little bit of a disadvantage as well. But yes, those bots are the things that really, they're the explorers. They're finding all the information, and then they're bringing it back to the homeland and saying, this is what we need to know, and this is how we need to treat this website.
Clearly, it's important to have updated content and continue to do so.
Yep.
But in terms of what Google can penalize you for, I've heard of these keyword stuffings or hidden text. Is that something people should be aware of?
Exactly right. So there's a lot of black hat tactics that used to work, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, and there's probably some even more recently. Those are two of them.
Okay.
Certainly the hidden text, where people would just make it either like transparent text
or like black text on a black background.
Right, so nobody could see it, but the bots would go through and they'd read all that text as being legitimate text. And so you could really trick Google into showing your page at a higher level than it really deserved, because it felt like you had all this text. And they also didn't factor in quality as much at that time. But every year is not even the word for it. Let's say every week Google is getting better at search. Like, they're just continuously getting better, that they don't stop. They've discovered all these things, and yes, they absolutely will penalize your site. That's one of those areas, keyword stuffing, because they'll notice that and they'll stop showing the site because they're checking for quality. So
and they're smart.
It used to be you would kind of have a percentage where you'd say, okay, we want the keyword that we want this page to rank for to show up 8% of the time. So you could easily run the numbers. So out of every 100 words, you wanted to make sure, as an example, that you had brake repair showing up on 8% of the time. So you could go through and figure that out. And there were programs that could tell you that as well. You know, what is your keyword? How often do you want it to show up? And they won't penalize you as much from the standpoint of saying, okay, we're not showing this site because they have this word in there a lot of times. But what they will do is they will not reward you for that technique the way that in the past they used to. So they're going through and they see, let's say, rich content on a page that has 500 words and it's got brake repair and it's got some variety that they can tell is going to do better than the keyword stuffed one that has 300 words and maybe it has brake repair in there 20 times.
Do pictures help?
Pictures can help now. In the past, they did not as much, but over the past few years especially. But that's also why you want to put those alt text on the pictures.
Like explaining what the picture is?
Exactly. Because the bots can read the alt text, and that's what they see that as. So if you, for instance, wanted to show something like engine repair and you had a picture there with maybe a tech performing engine repair, you could put alt text in there that says, you know, auto technician performing engine repair.
And that's what Google reads
and that's what Google reads that as. So that can help you when it comes to people searching for engine repair. Again, they're getting continuously better. They're working all the time to get better. So they're even doing more from an image standpoint to do more than just read, but to be able to see, visualize, kind of, sort of. Yeah, at least to the extent they can, and then say, oh, this is what this picture represents, because we all know a picture represents 1,000 words, right? Maybe even 10,000, and all they would read it as is the alt text. So they're working on trying to make that better, especially in today's visual world.
Yeah.
You know, Instagram, Pinterest, all those things are pretty hot. Facebook, visuals, and they want to be able to respond to that, and then, you know, be able to say this is what this image represents, and then feed that into search also.
All right, you said Facebook, you said it, so now I have to ask: does having a Facebook help SEO?
Facebook can help SEO. There was a time where I think most people felt like social media was playing a big role in search engine results and how websites searched, and I think that has subsided a fair amount. So it certainly can, especially if you have a Facebook profile that you have linked to your website, and certainly that'll see that as another piece of credibility. It can give it some link credibility as well, but not necessarily so, because the techniques used to be is, for instance, you would post a blog and then you would flood social media with links to your blog. And then the idea was, just like link building, as I mentioned, backlinks, Google would go out and they'd see all these links that would lead back to your blog through social media, and they would give it a lot of credit. And it was like, that was kind of a way to cheat for your
spot.
SEO.
Yeah.
You could kind of cheat that way. As we were talking about, you had black hat SEO, and then you've got social media. So, like most things that humans do, we try to figure out ways to hack the system or beat the system. And so social media was a way to do that for a little while. And that's no longer really the case. What can be helpful is if you have a genuine following through social media, and engaging that following and sharing some of these things, you drive legit traffic to your website, then it can help because it's just affecting the other pieces.
Okay, so Facebook's great, but it's not going to save your life.
No, it is not. It used to be higher on the. So I mentioned those surveys. Social media links used to be much higher on that, and now it seems like every year it falls a little bit further down the rankings.
And a lot of people say, just Google it and reference Google as being the only search engine out there. But when we optimize a website for SEO, like, are we optimizing it also for Bing and Yahoo?
Yes, absolutely. Just our practice, we optimize it for all the search engines, but it is important to know Google is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and when you look at the numbers, the market share of search, the other ones are nowhere close. Things that are closest to Google proper, like you expect when you go to Google, are actually other Google properties, like YouTube or Google Images.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they have more search market share than the other actual search engines that we most often think about, like a Bing. But it is important to make sure that you are optimized for those other search engines as well.
And tying into like Google and other properties, so having like a Google My Business profile, that majorly helps with SEO. I mean, we hit it on the head that having a GMB is,
yep,
you have to.
Yes, absolutely, and that definitely does help.
Okay.
Because it feeds in. You've got that link from your GMB profile that goes to your website, and then you want a link from your website that goes to your GMB profile, and they both complement each other. So not only does the GMB profile complement your website and help that search well, but your website complements your GMB profile and can help that do well in the local pack also. And what's also important about the GMB profile is that sends direct signals to Google. So we talked about having fresh content. Same sort of thing with Google My Business. The more that you're utilizing that and posting and using fresh content, that could just be images. Maybe you just set your goal. You want to post a picture a week on your Google My Business account or profile, which is where your reviews are also, or maybe you respond to reviews. That shows Google that you are an active business, and then that feeds into their data for your website as well. So when they see that, they're going to be more likely to see you as a good active business and show your website in those search engine results.
And listening to all these questions that I've asked you, shop owners might be wondering themselves, where do I stand against competitors, or where am I in my town? So we actually offer a free website ranking analysis for shops to request this type of questions. What kind of data is pulled from this, and how do shops actually be able to use it that we give them? Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things that we do, and it's free for anybody. So please make use of that. Just go right to our website and you'll see a big button on there. You can click and request it. And what we do is we pull the numbers. We've got 8 different search terms that we plug in there to see where the website is searching, and will give you direct results from that. So it might say, for auto repair, you are 5th. For auto repair
Milwaukee,
you are 10th. For this, here's where you are. So when you request that, what we do is we pull the data. We can tell you exactly where you're searching. And the real nice thing is we do that from your town or city. We don't pull it from Raleigh, North Carolina, where we are, and say, oh yeah, well we searched Auto Repair Milwaukee.
Because location matters.
Through the tool, exactly. Location matters because that doesn't matter to you. You want to know when people search in Milwaukee from their mobile phone, what are the results? And we give you those results. We can also tell you what the volume looks like. So how many people on a given month on average are searching for these specific keywords. And then we'll pull competitors. So either you request the competitors you want to see, or we'll just go ahead and pull the competitors that are performing the best. Or it might be a mix. It might be a hybrid of that, because you might tell us you want to see these competitors. We might pull the data and say, well, this one is competing with you. This one really isn't. They're way off. So it's not even worth looking closely at them. But this other shop and then this shop are doing really well. So then we'll show you all that data as well, so you can compare and understand, okay, these are the people I thought were my competitors. Turns out one of them, from an online standpoint, is performing well. The other one, actually not so much, but I need to look out for this one and this one because they really are pulling all the potential customers from the audience.
Valuable, like really.
Yeah. A lot of people can be shocked because they may have either thought they were searching better than they are, or they didn't realize where they stood amongst their competitors.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's very cool. So clearly we've discussed a lot about SEO.
Yes. Yeah.
So if anyone listening has any lingering questions, please reach out to us. As Martin always says in each podcast, head to our website, which is www.myrsw.com. We are always happy to have a conversation with you, and Martin will love to talk about SEO for another hour or more. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Busy Bays podcast. If you want more information about this, please visit myrsw.com and go to our resource center. We plan on hosting one of these every month, so subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out. We just have one more favor to ask of you. It would mean the world to us if you would share this with your friends and colleagues. Our goal is to help auto repair shops succeed, so you can help us achieve this goal by just telling someone else about this show. Thanks again. Have a great day.